What's going on, YouTube? So, finally getting around to installing the Quadratec armor on the Gladiator. I ordered it about a month ago. It's been sitting in my garage for a few weeks now. But what we have here is the Quadratec aluminum engine skid plate and the Quadratec aluminum transfer case skid plate. There is a third piece that goes on this, and it's the gas tank skid plate. But I opted not to go for that, seeing as our Gladiator is going to be more of an overlanding rig than a rock crawling rig. I'm just putting a little bit of extra armor on there just for our trip to Moab. So it does come with the factory gas tank skid. It does come with the factory transfer case skid, but I just want something a little bit more beefy in that section right there. But let's get to unpacking here and getting this thing installed. So I just started opening it and realized I hadn't even started filming my intro yet. But inside the box for the engine skid is an installation manual with nice color photos. So we are just doing the engine skid and the transfer skid. The gas tank skid we are not going to be doing on this one. Looks like there's hardware for both of these. We'll get all of this out and try to get this installed here. The install, you only need a 17mm and an 18mm socket, and that's pretty much all you need. So in addition to the instruction manual, you have the skid plate itself, hardware bag, new cross member, and then your mounting brackets right and left. So your right side one's going to have the tab with the 3 holes. Left side one does not. Okay, got you under the Jeep now. This is the cross brace here. The front of the Jeep is that way, the rear of the Jeep is back there. So this cross member is here. Way back here, just on the outer edge of the camera, is a rear cross brace, and right up here is the transfer case skid plate. We're going to start by removing this 18mm bolts on each side, and then there's a little cross brace that goes back that comes over here. So we're going to take all these off. And I'm going to go ahead and take off the transfer case skid plate as well, because I'm going to be replacing that one later. So 18mm. Make sure you're keeping all of these bolts. We're going to reuse them. Now I'm going to take off my transfer case skid plate. If you're not doing that, I believe you still have to take these other 2 bolts off this number back here. Bring you guys in closer. I think you still have to take these guys off back here, because that's what the engine skid plate's going to go into. But these 2 bolts are what holds this factory transfer skid plate in. As you're taking this rear brace off, right here in the middle, this is your gas tank skid plate. In the middle here, there's a couple of bolts that are 13mm. Just get those zipped off here real quick too. I only had one on mine, so I still got to get this other one off, and as soon as that's off, the transfer case skid will drop. And one last one. Okay, the next step is to get your left and your right brackets in there. I just have them roughly mounted in right there, just finger tight. The location of these is, here's the drive shaft. Front of the Jeep is that way, back of the Jeep is this way. You're going to look for this aluminum round piece right here. That's what's going to be your indicator of where you should be. There's 2 bolts to the rear, and let's see if I can get you in here. There's 1 bolt to the front, which you can see right there, and this bracket, this tab that hangs down, this is what your skid plate's going to mount on. That tab is inboard of the drive shaft. On the passenger side, again, you're going to look for that round aluminum thing. This is the side that has the 3 holes in the bracket. You got 2 factory bolts already, studs already in there. That's not threaded, and then 1 up front. So there's no screws that you have to take off. You're just lifting these guys in and then threading the lock nut on there. Okay, and again, this tab goes inboard. Outside of the Jeep is that way. This bracket is inboard to the Jeep. Let's see if I can get you guys a better angle here. So there's your oil pan right there, and then these 2 tabs come down just on the left and the right side of the oil pan. Front axle, drive shaft, differentials all right here. So you're gonna tighten those down, not tight, because you still want movement on this, so you can fit the skid plate on these. Alrighty, so utilizing the new hardware that came with your kit, there's your M12 bolt, washer, and a locking nut. Your factory holes from where your OEM cross member was. We're going to install our new cross member, and let's see if I can get this on here really quick. The new cross member kind of has a bit of a taper. There you go, a little taper here. This taper is going to go to the rear of the Jeep. So we are going to get this. Just get this side lined up, get the other side lined up, and then thread these in. And we're not gonna snug these all the way down because we still need a little bit of movement on the cross brace, whatnot, just to get the skid plate on. So I've just got a few threads on there right here. I'm gonna get the other side on, and then we'll move on to the next step. And we're just gonna leave this a little loose right now. All right, so I got the skid plate on the floor underneath the Jeep. You're still looking to the rear. Here's those tabs that we just loosely put in. We are going to take some more of the hardware that they supplied in the kit. These bolts are 17 millimeter, a little bit shorter than the other one, not as big around. Washer and a lock nut, and we are going to lift the skid plate up and put it on these tabs. The skid plate is going to go on the outside of the tabs. These tabs actually have nuts mounted in, welded onto them. So let's see how well I can do by myself. Get this guy. Sorry, that was a little loud. Got a couple of threads on that one. Got to get to the other side now and thread the other side on. A lot easier if you have 2 people, or if I was smart, I'd just put a floor jack underneath and lift it up, but I'm not smart. Alrighty, round to the other side now. Got my hardware. My left arm isn't as strong as my right arm here, so bear with me a second. There you go. So got those just finger tight in there. Alrighty, after you get both the front tabs on there, I accidentally stopped recording, so you didn't watch me struggle, but after you get the front 2 bolts on there, there's 3 more exact same size as those front ones, and we are just going to thread those into the new cross brace that we just installed. There's one. There's two. Last one. Three. We're almost there, guys. Alright, I got you back here. We're now looking towards the front of the Jeep. The last three bolts, these are the same ones that we used to install the new cross brace. This is the factory cross brace, the one that goes right at the front edge of your gas tank. These ones, we are just going to thread in these holes that are right in here. If I can find it right. And this is why you want to leave everything loose, so you can shift stuff around and get the bolts in there. I'm going to have this one cross-thread in here. We'll get that in a second. Alrighty. So those are all those ones in there. So now it should be just everything that needs to be snugged up. So now once you get it all in there and everything's lined up and the skid plate's sitting where you want it to be and it's not obstructing anything, you can start tightening everything down from front to rear. I'm just going to do it with a wrench here just because I want to make sure nothing's cross-threaded, just to get everything started. And this is probably the hardest part right here, is just tightening down these front braces, just because clearance is a little tight. So I'm not going to bore you with that. It's just a matter of going through all the bolts and tightening them down. Alright, so that's pretty much the installation for the engine skid plate. So if that's the only piece you're putting on there, just go ahead and cinch everything down. I am leaving mine a little loose right now because I am just about to put the transfer skid plate on. If you're only doing the front, the engine skid plate, that rear brace that we took off, the one a little bit further back there, that's your factory transfer skid, and you're going to want to keep that on there because you need to protect your transfer case. But if you are putting on the transfer skid plate like I am, you're going to take that piece off and you have a new cross member in the next skid. Unlike the belly or the oil pan engine armor, that one came with instructions and everything. This one does not. It's a pretty simple install. So I don't blame them for not having install instructions for this one. It's literally the plate, the new cross member, and two bolts. We're going to reuse the factory bolts that were holding the factory bar in to put in this beefed up bar. So I already have the front skid plate installed. It's just kind of mocked up in there loosely. So you see, where are we at? The bolts in there are just kind of finger tight and loose. That way we can get this skid plate in. So let's go and install this bar and then the skid plate, and we're done with this. Alrighty, to install this crossbar, if you look here, you see there's a little lowered notch right there. That's going to be the side that goes to the passenger side, because that cutout right there is for the gas tank. So, using your factory bolts that you took out, 18mm, just going to finger tight one side here. Just hold that up and I'll go around to the other side and put the other side of that bar up. And using an 18mm, we'll tighten it up we're not going to go completely tight yet because we still need to be able to maneuver the skid plate in. So this is the front skid, the engine skid plate. This one's transfer skid plate. You can just slip it in right here, but what I'm actually going to try and do is I'm going to try and take this and put it between the front skid plate and this crossbar here. That way it's almost like the shingles on a roof. If a rock comes in, it's going to slide across it and not have a lip to catch onto. So I have it set loose so I can flex it down. There's that side. You see my fingers to the other side here. That way it slides right together just like that. The 2 bolts that came with the kit, with a lock nut and a washer. You're going to line it up to the holes. You're going to line it up with the holes right here with the crossbar that we just installed. And everything's just loose fit, that way you can thread things together and get things positioned where you want them to be positioned. And then with that, we just need to tighten this up and installation is done. Well, the install for the transfer case skid was so short, went ahead and included it in the original video here. Install went well. These bolts right here, the ones that Quadratec sent, I could not get these things to thread down more than halfway, so I just reused some of the factory ones that came out when we first took it apart. So that's those 3 right there. Other than that, everything went in really well. Like I said, no directions or instructions on how to install the rear one, but it's pretty straightforward. I went ahead and sandwiched my rear plate in between the brace there and the front one, just so there was no lip that would get caught if a rock went underneath there. But not quite as durable as the metal cloak one we have on the Rubicon, but for what we're doing here, I think it's going to do just fine. Trail Panda actually had the same armor system for their Wrangler when they went wheeling with us, and they beat it against a lot of rocks in Moab and here in Colorado, and it did really well. So I think this is going to be a great addition for the Gladiator. Just a lot of peace of mind. If you check earlier, we do have the metal cloak brace there, or the rear diff armor, and then we are going to install the sway bar reinforcement brackets from metal cloak, and that'll be on the next video. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, we'll catch you on the next one. I did bust a sweat, but anyways, yeah, save the money, do it yourself. I'll catch you on the next video, guys. Take care, be safe out there.